Welcome. I'm the DeadwoodJedi. This is going to be another Raid Shadow Legends video. I am here with the one, the only Cold Brew Gaming. I mean, he's just an amazing creator. Honestly, this guy puts out so much content that's like on point, giving you the latest stuff. He gives you old school stuff. He has a great sense of humor and just like super all around nice guy. I always love having him be a part of these events. And he was definitely a part of the Clover Clan Boss draft. And I think had the most, I would say, controversial pick in the draft to start things off. Number 2 pick he had. And this guy went and selected White Dryad Nia, who I think everybody's intrigued by. And we feel like can really open up some strong possibilities for building a team. But I guess first off, thanks for coming on and hanging out with us and being a part of the draft, my friend.
Hey man, yeah, thank you for having me over. It's great to be in these kind of content creator competitions every time because I like having fun with the game, and these bring a fresh new look at different parts of the game, like having to build a specific team, do something like the faction draft that we had, or the clan boss draft that we had the other time. So this one, yeah, it's good to be participating in this one, and the ban thing that was added.
That changed everything.
That changed everything, to say the least.
I'm so glad
very interesting.
I'm so glad we put that in there, though. I felt like it really added a little bit of an extra layer of spice that we were missing from the first one. I knew the first one I wanted it to be very like simple. Let's all figure out what we're doing. But I love that. I really enjoyed having the chat come in and do it too. It was really fun. And I think it was a nice addition to this. But let's talk about the draft itself, the one we actually had. First off, let's start off with your team. How are you feeling about your team? Are you happy with it? You satisfied with it? Have you had a chance to dive in and work on it yet?
No, I didn't have a chance to dive into the team yet. I know the time we have is a bit strict. We have to finish it before Thursday, and it's Tuesday already.
Yeah.
And my team is not the one where you pretty much know a tune already. That's gonna be fun.
Yep.
But I plan on trying to dive in, see what my picks can do, and then see who I'm gonna sub out, if I'm gonna sub someone out, to make things work if all else fails. My plan is to have at least a 2 key. Okay, a 2 key. It's difficult, but by the way, guys, if you're watching, it's difficult to build a killable team. So no block, no unkillable. It's difficult to build that. Of course, we're gonna have all our gear available, so that's gonna go heavy in terms of everything. In terms of damage, we've got awakenings now, so that's easier with cruelty if you have it.
If you have it,
ramping up the damage. If you have it, yeah.
I was looking at my champions. I've got 2 of the champions I'm using have awakenings, but only 2 of them. And it's like this very disparate kind of thing. And I was like, oh my God, I totally forgot about that when planning my team. Because honestly, what I should have done is gone through and said, which champions have blessings for me, and prioritize those champions over the others, because it can make such a big difference, in your survivability or the damage you deal. And gonna be very interesting to see how this works out.
I don't have a crazy amount of blessings, so it's all gonna be luck if I have any of these. I think I have maybe like a 1-star or a 2-star on like 2 of them. So it's something. Yeah. 2-star is way stronger though. 2-star is nice,
that's your cap.
Especially if you're looking for defense.
I realized I was lucky. I have 2 champions with blessings, and they're both big blessings. So it's like at least I can really indulge on that. But that's it. The others don't. And I think more importantly, my Skull Crusher, the one I need to keep everybody else alive, doesn't. So like that's the one that I'm like, oh, this is gonna hurt maybe potentially.
Yeah, could have been nice if you had it.
So
which
your
one
team,
would you use? Like,
what'd you say?
Which blessing would you use if you had one for Skull Crusher?
For Skull Crusher, I'd probably use Faultless Defender to help him take less damage. Would be the one I would be using for him. Which is kind of an unusual thing. You're like, oh, defense first kind of thing, but that can really mitigate a lot of the damage that you end up taking, and would, I think, be pretty positive as far as his survivability goes. So that'd been my choice.
Yeah.
But right. I want to talk about your team a little bit here because I thought you had such an interesting draft, right? The first round went completely to scratch for everybody except for Cold Brew, who took White Dryad Nia, and it's just a really unique champion, right? She's got an insane healing, right? Because whenever she's healed, she actually heals the rest of her team. It's incredibly good. But she also has ally protection. She has a strengthen buff. But the thing that makes her so unique is she has that A2 ability where she will she'll heal somebody, right? And then that heal is going to then reset the skills of that champion. And I think that's the real unique part here. And is that something that you were planning to utilize in your team, or is it just, something just off to the side?
Yeah, that was something I was planning, but I think my ban phase could have gone way better. Not the ban phase, the pick phase could have gone way better if I picked a guaranteed ban like a man-eater because I was second. Mm-hmm. That way I could have then picked whatever I wanted as a second and third pick, and that would have enabled my plan to go way better. But
were you planning to use White Dryad Nia with Farak and the Fat as a combination?
Yeah, I had that in mind as a fun combo. I wanted to try it out. I didn't obviously want to build a man-eater team. I mentioned that before. I made a video on the day that we were going to do the draft. Mm-hmm. Made a video before it. I called on the champions that would probably get picked. And I said, nah, I don't want to do a man-eater team. But anyway, I should have picked him so that I forced the ban.
Right. Okay, so I was really glad. I was really glad that you didn't pick Man-Eater because that enabled me to get Man-Eater, and it enabled me to also take Skull Crusher. So no matter which champion the chat decided to ban, I'd have somebody that I felt was pretty pretty top tier on my squad. But even though you didn't, you took White Dryad in your first pick, you ended up getting Farak and the Fat on your second one, which I still think is an amazing champion and definitely one of the more, top tier champions that could be selected out there. But of course, Farak then got banned for you. So I'm imagining if you had to do it over again, would you have waited to take White Dryad Nia in like the third round? Is that kind of where you would have tried to target her? I don't know that she would have lasted that long. It's kind of one of the issues, right?
I don't know. Now thinking about all the picks, after the fact is maybe nobody would have picked her just because of her A2 that is tricky to build. It's not that easy to build. So there's no laid out plan, right? So people would go, the other creators, I would guess, would go for a more safe kind of pick in the sense of building something that can exist already. Let's say a high defensive team, ally protect, extend buffs, speed up, make it a 2-1. That is something that's already out there. Might not be with the exact five that they'll showcase, but it's already there. The blueprint is there, if you get what I mean. So probably I don't think she would have been picked, even though she's got a very strong ally protect and strengthen, which is insane. It's still that A2 that you can't disable, I guess, but then that takes
away a lot of her kit. Yeah, I hear that.
Yeah, it's the reason why she was so amazing when she was released. Like everybody talked about her because it's an additional champion in the game that does the decrease in cooldowns to a champion.
Well, I just wrote we were talking about this before we got started, but I just recently wrote, and we just put it on the website, a draft grade. So I went down every single pick, did a little write up on each champion on that pick, whether I would have taken them, who I might have taken instead, and gave them a grade. And I hate to say this, but I gave your White Dryad Nia a C pick. I did not like that pick. It was not my choice. But one of the things I think so interesting about her is that, because of that ability, I think I wrote this in here, she's either going to she's going to go down is either the best or the worst pick of this draft. Because
love it.
Yeah, because if you can you can utilize that ability to a really good extent, then that could just completely, take your team to a whole nother level, which I'm really excited to be able to see. And of course, part of that is that, you, I think, absolutely crushed the rest of your draft. Farak and the Fat, I felt like was such an obvious choice, but the Venom Mage pick in the third round was a severely, I mean, I feel like that champ is very, very good. But you know, the rest of your picks kind of maximize that as well. Like, just to go through so people know, like, you took Venomage, you took Runekeeper, which I do want to get to. I think that's a very interesting pick. You took Jareg, who's obviously, you know, a really nice, you know, control champion, but also you took Liberga, and I think that was the steal of the draft. The kit on her is insane for this competition, and especially pairs really well with Venomage, which I thought was really interesting. Because if those of you that don't know, Liberga is one of the Doom Tower champions. But it's, you know, you have to be doing Doom Tower for a while to be able to get her, but she gives you increased defense, she gives you increased attack. There's just a lot in her kit, which I think is really interesting.
Poison extension, poison sensitivity. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And she puts up, I think that's the big thing, right? She puts up just a ton of poisons. What faction is she in anyway?
Orcs.
I can't find her to save my life. But yeah, she puts up just a ton of poisons. But the increased defense buff is really massive as well. She has the ability to extend the duration of poisons too. And so when you're pairing it with somebody that explodes them like Venomage does, that just becomes a really nice synergy going on there. Was that your plan going in once you took Venomage, that you were going to get Liberga to pair with it? Or did that just happen?
The plan was on the fly because if I had Farrakhan, I wouldn't need, I would say, Liberga, because Farrakhan does solid amount of poisons, and the reset of cooldowns from Nia would have made it okay with Venomage, and Venomage it's not a guaranteed explosion, so it's not like there would be no poisons on the boss because of Venomage. It's just that I needed a good poisoner in addition to Venomage. I can't just run her and expect the poisons to be filling up the bar.
I thought it was a great choice. I gave it an A+ on my rating. I was like, this is the pick of that last round. And then you did take Runekeeper Dazzdirk, and I thought that was a really interesting pick because, you know, most people don't know Runekeeper has a massive turn meter boost, but it is on 3-turn cooldown, which makes it a little tricky. Does have a leech, has a lot of healing. It's a really complete champion. But I'm curious as to how you're planning on using Runekeeper, because obviously, like, you have now a couple different unusual mechanics in this turn meter boost from Runekeeper, the cooldown reduction from White Dread Nia. How, you know, what is kind of like your game plan as far as how you're going to utilize those things to make your team work?
So my idea now is I'll probably sub someone out, and I'm not sure who yet. That's the thing. I'll probably sub someone out. I'll need to start working on things because I want to use Runekeeper so much. So I don't know who I'm gonna sub out just yet, but I want to use him because I think is an underrated pick. It's just more difficult again to build. So I might actually keep him in there and work a tune with him with his boost. But it will be difficult. So I have, I guess, until before the draft is done, and I can sub someone out. I don't think anybody else will sub a champion, which would basically stop my plans, because if they pick the champ I have, then I won't be able to do that, right?
No, and anybody that wasn't drafted is available for everybody to use, so we can all pick the same.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I thought it was like if somebody picks it, then I can't use it.
As long as if they were drafted, you can't take them, even if they were banned. Yeah. But otherwise, you're good to go. Yeah.
I really want to use Nia though. I really want to show her at least as part of the team. And however that goes, I'm fine with it. I don't expect this to be like a one key team, no way. But just showcasing this combination would be just something for the viewers, right?
For sure. Well, I mean, you know, you have
at least.
You have a couple things really going for you right now. Even if you don't make any changes, you've got ally protection, you've got increased defense. You're the only person out here with the strengthen buff as well. You have the ability to basically keep all those skills, maybe minus the strengthen, on everybody for the full fight, which is really nice. And I'm actually really interested to see what kind of speed tune you do come up with, because I feel like, something I was flirting around with because my team got all messed up was trying to run it like a 3-2 ratio where my champions are taking 3 for every 2 the clan boss takes. And with a turn meter booster on a 3-turn cooldown like Runekeeper, it really lends that possibility there. It's not as powerful as a 2-1. Obviously, you're not getting as many attacks.
Obviously, yeah.
But what it does allow you to do is cycle through all your skills and keep them up for the full fight if you can get to that, if you can find the right speed tune for that. And that might be a great way to kind of keep your team alive and get some extra hits in. Obviously, you could go with the more traditional approach, right? Going on a 4-3 or something like that. But it'll be really, I'm really intrigued to see in what manner you approach this, because I think you have, it's a very well crafted team, even if it doesn't involve major speed mechanics, right? You've got healing, you've got protection, you've got the debuffs, you've got damage potential, certainly with poisons, if not raw damage itself. So I'm very interested to see, what the approach is, and interested to see if you end up subbing anybody in or out. I don't know that there's no obvious champion on your team that I'm like, oh, this champion got to get this one out of here,
Go. Yeah. I can see at least Venomage not being the one sub that 100%. Venomage is like crucial in not only doing damage but also helping reduce the damage that the team takes. So I don't think Venomage is gonna go. No way. Even if it takes away 1 debuff slot with the heal reduction, you can do that if that's gonna mean surviving a little bit more.
Venomage is a crazy good kit. I've been crushing it with my free to play using Venomage actually, and like I always didn't like him, and now I'm like, oh no, Venomage is amazing. definitely a big fan.
It's when you do those free to play accounts and you just have to work with what you have, those epics suddenly become amazing, and you see the real value as long as you build them right and have a plan.
That's the trick right there. How are you feeling about how do you feel about the rest of the draft? Do you think anybody like is clearly going to win, or were there any surprise picks that you weren't expecting? Just going through it.
Honestly, I don't know. I don't know if there were surprise picks out of everything, because everybody pretty much went along their route of the speed up buff. They went with some damage. They went with an extender just to get an idea going of a 2-2-1 maybe. So although I can't see a clear winner, I think that everybody will be building a very solid team.
Did you say you see a clear winner?
I don't see a clear winner. Although I think YST, because of that Geomancer, if he can get him to survive a long time, he'll ramp up a lot more damage than us, I would say. If he manages to take it more than 50 turns, I think it's done.
I'm very nervous about YST's team. I don't feel good about that team at all. Yeah. No, that scares me.
But it's not that easy to get a team going so long, especially when you don't have those legendaries in there. All right, those legendaries sometimes are like it's we don't understand how powerful they are until we don't have them to make a team. Like when you build a really strong tanky team that can last more than 50 turns, you don't realize that, oh, I needed that big shield from Brogni. That Valkyrie was amazing. That is something we don't realize until
100%.
We have to build an all epics team and no legendary team.
Oh man, I feel 100% the same way. I've done a couple test runs, and like my damage swing is so wide depending on how the clan boss does stuff, and I'm just like I just like what I wouldn't give for a Valkyrie right now. What I wouldn't give for Mashald or Krisk or somebody, and it's wild how impactful those, even like a Tyrant, just like somebody a little bit more. It's a
little bit above,
makes such a difference. Not just the abilities, but the base stats too. I think what I'm most impressed about is that the fact that we were actually able to put all these teams together, and like all 5 teams I think are going to be able to actually have a full team, even just using epics, right? It's like there's no like I need this one champion, which I think is pretty remarkable. So yeah, I did put out that draft guide. Spent a few hours yesterday typing that up, so I'm hopeful people will go check it out. But I'm curious what you thought about my grading for you. I mean,
yeah, I would say the Nia pick as the first round pick deserves like that grade. I wasn't satisfied about that for myself after the fact.
Mm-hmm.
For the others, I mean, those were expected. I guess the picks, not from each individual, but as a general pick phase, those were the champions that everybody would go for, like Demetha, Seeker, Deacon, Maneater for round 1. And then going into round 2, Skullcrusher, yeah, for sure. Geomancer, Toragi, again, Firekin, Darkhill, again, all the champions that you expect to get into play. Not from the specific person, but again, just because of how powerful they are. They are almost legendary status, these champions, in terms of what they provide. There's legendaries that can't do what they have, and you see these champions in record-breaking teams. Maybe not Darkhill, but you see a Farkin the Fat in one key teams. You see Toragi, Geomancer, 100%. Skullcrusher can still do a lot, even though he might not be, in those very, very high damage teams. Obviously, Deacon, Demetha, and Maneater. And round 3 it's where it got more interesting with those picks out of the way, I would say. And people started, diving into the a little bit underrated champions.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say Ruella.
Yeah.
Ruella as an example for nub raids. I don't know if he can make it work. I think he's gonna sub someone out in her place. Because again, it's the same thing. It's a Terminator boost, and not only that, he doesn't even have it on the account, so he'll be pulling shards. And in 4 days, I think it's gonna be his most viewed shard pull video if he can hype it up.
I was watching it. I was talking with him yesterday about it, and he was like, "I pulled like 1,800 champions. I haven't found it yet." Like. I think he's found it, but I'm still not sure. But yeah, he's been going. I think he did like 1,800 gems worth of, or like 18,000 gems worth of pulls, something ridiculous like that. So he was definitely having a hard time with that one. Was there any picks that like surprised you outside of your own? Right, like any picks that were like, oh, that I didn't see that, or any picks that were like, dang it, that was the one I wanted. Something that like jumped out at you.
The one I wanted, no, there weren't any picks really like that. I mean, after I had the team in my head, there's really only one way I could go. So everybody else was picking it. I mean, Toragi would have been amazing, but Hades picked it right before me, and I really wanted Farkin, so that's why I picked it during round 2. Round 3, I was surprised with the Feint pick. Honestly, I couldn't see it. I couldn't see the Feint being picked in this competition. But you can build a tanky team, even if you have a Feint who has like a 700 base defense on level 60. Even if you can get maybe Hades has like a 6-star awakening on her, so it makes it easier for him. But he's gonna try and get her to like a 2,800 defense, and after that it's damage and being protected by the defense up buff and all that, ally protection and all that.
I'm going through that exact same thing with an axe actually right now. I'm doing the same exact thing. It's a challenge,
but I think an axe doesn't have so low defense, right? I didn't check, but
it's close. It's like 800. There's barely a difference between them.
Yeah. With that one, I'm wondering if something gets messed up and he gets below 10%, are you gonna just? Well, I guess you can run it again and do a proper run, but that would only do for an axe would only affect him, I would say.
Yeah, I'm not too worried about
in those bad situations.
The interesting thing about once you get into a really strong speed tune, like a 3-2 or like a 2-to-1 ratio, something like that, it tends to be really hard to actually knock out of it, even if something changes, right? Because of the way the ticks work and the champion speed works, it tends to stay in sync. Right. I haven't really looked to see if that would mess it up, but my other feeling is if we get down that low, we're probably going to be dead anyway. So maybe I don't worry about it anyway.
Yeah. By that time, it's
it's a different story if we're talking about like a unkillable team where you're always permanently that low. But I think at this point, it's not something I'm super concerned about anyway. Well, this is great, man. Thank you for stopping by. I have to say, like, I'm more curious to see how your team is built than anybody else's, because you did, I think you can criticize individual picks here and there, but like overall, what you've done is you've given yourself more options than most everybody else, because you have Runekeeper, you have some speed boost potential teams. But you don't have to go that way because you have White Dread Nia. You have some real unique possibilities to go with, but you don't have to go that way. There's still a plethora of champions out there that could be picked up and tossed in, and maybe you come up with something really creative that's a little bit different as a result of that. So I'm very, very intrigued to see what it is that you go for in the coming days with this team, and how you make it work. But thanks so much for coming on and hanging out with us.
Thanks, man. Before we finish, how much do you think is going to be the top damage?
I think my prediction in the pre-draft collab we did, I think that's going to be pretty spot on. I think the winning team is going to be, I don't think I'm going to win, but I think the winning team is going to be, I think north of 50 million. I think there's an outside shot of somebody getting a 1 key. I don't know if it's going to happen, but I think there's an outside. I'm really worried about YST. Like when it really comes down to, I'm very worried about YST getting a 1 key.
Maybe if he had it on Affinity with Geo.
Dude, those two scare me. I'm terrified of their teams right
Hades
now.
too. Yeah, Hades is the Claude pick as an example. It's a little bit out of it's not used so much, but underrated. Yeah, but the shield is, I guess, are gonna be strong for him to protect the team, and then the increased speed is gonna help him get that 2-2-1. I was like for a brief minute or two on his stream, and I saw that he was building it already, like an hour after he finished the draft. He had it already. Yeah, on his screen.
Yeah, he's putting up numbers for sure. I'm pretty positive of that. I can never. It's funny because like we're all in the test server, so we can kind of see some of the other people's stuff, and I'm in the clan where Hades is in right now, and so I can kind of see some of the numbers, but like I'm never quite sure what it is, and so it's just enough to make me nervous and not feel confident of what I'm doing right now. But I have a feeling, I think the winning team's definitely going to be, I think 50 million is kind of like the benchmark. And we're going to see who's able to go, how much farther past that. I think there's a potential of somebody getting a 1 key out here. YST and Hades are the ones I'm most nervous about. But, again, like Venomage and Liberga, I think could be one heck of a combination. If you can find a way to survive and you have double ally protection, you have strength, and you have the mitigation from Venomage, you could easily survive longer than everybody else in this fight, with all of that in there. Plus increased defense full time because you got multiple champions that bring that. It's definitely something that I'm nervous about as far as like your team and what that could be doing. So I haven't counted anybody out, and also even though I think Nub is probably the underdog of the competition right now, he's also the only person that drafted 2 legitimate damage dealers. Like 2 pure damage dealing champions. And that's pretty strong, like damage is damage. So I right now, I'm not sure who's going to win this thing. Just trying not to embarrass myself mostly.
Same thing here. But as always, like we want to have like a fun time for the viewers. It's not really about who wins. Although you wanna win, right? It's within everybody. Everyone was like, we wanna win this thing, but we also wanna have maybe even if it's not the team that won, but if it's the one that captures the viewer's attention, as a creator, you'll get more traction to your channel because of that. So it's actually it's always fun to do that.
That's legitimately what YSC did last time, right? He built a damage mitigation team in the first draft that nobody was expecting, and it did way better than anybody really expected. I think he actually ended up, I think a lot of people recognize, oh yeah, this guy knows what he's talking about. I think. Yeah,
110, I think.
It was a really good team. Didn't win, but I mean, it was a really good team. And so that's I mean, honestly, that's what I'm looking forward to seeing with you. Looking forward to see what you can pull out with Runekeeper and with White Dryad Nia. And it might turn out that you can't do anything special with them, and that's a totally normal thing to have happen, But even without that, honestly, even if you're just going at a pretty normal 1-1 or 4-3 ratio with your team, I still think you can do some really good work just because you have so many amazing buffs. You still have things like strength, like stalwart, defiant gear out there that you can really utilize, and you have already plenty of healing in your team, so it's not like you're going to be hurting on that side of things either. So I'm very intrigued to see what it is you're able to pull out with this squad. I think I'm expecting big things. I'm hoping for some stuff, so I'll put a little pressure on you there. Well, hey man, I don't want to take up any more of your time. Thanks for coming by talking about this. I'm very, very excited about it. Do you have any videos or anything coming up we can pimp to the people?
No, nothing really special, but I will be posting something maybe the day after, explaining my team, my thought process. Just to not spoil anything, I'll do it after it all ends.
That sounds perfect. Well, guys, make sure to come by here, my YouTube channel, on Friday, 4 p.m. UTC. That's noon on the East Coast of the US, and that's 9 a.m. in the Pacific time. Still 4 p.m., I believe, in London. So that gives you the full range of time zones for you there. But make sure to come by. It was a blast last time. I think we had like 1,800 people. We're going to be giving away a lot of gems. So even if you aren't that interested, you can come by and win some free stuff, which is always enjoyable. Make sure to go follow Mr. Cold Brew on his channel. I'll have his YouTube linked down below. And if you want to see my full draft grades, list thing, I'm going to be doing team grades too. That'll be fun. I'll try and get that one out by the time you guys see this. So we're going to be doing little articles on the website. So make sure to go check that out. There's a link right on the front page taking you to the Clover game, so you can see all the latest content, whether it's videos or articles or whatever. I think that's all the promo stuff I need to get out there. Guys, thanks so much for watching. Cold Brew, thanks so much for being here. I really appreciate it. It's always fun. Till next we meet, I'm the Deadwood Jedi.